ABC New South Wales, this is Christy reading. Now, some independent and private schools started to return to school late last week, and students will continue to trickle in over the next few days before all New South Wales schools are back by this Friday. It's been a delayed start for some students because teachers have been given extra development days because there's some pretty significant changes to the syllabus being rolled out over the next couple of years. How are teachers coping with it all, and what do parents and carers need to know about the new syllabus? Regina Menz is the Director of Schools for the Armidale Catholic Schools and joins us on the line. Regina, good morning.
Good morning, Christy.
How are you?
Nice to talk to you today.
Nice to talk to you too. It's such a busy time of the year for you and your colleagues, so we do appreciate you giving us some time today. Now, teachers returned to schools last week. Some pretty big changes for them to get their heads around over the next 2 years. What can you tell us just generally about these changes?
So the New South Wales Government are implementing new curriculum across all areas from K to 12. It actually started in 2023 with K to 2 English and mathematics, and will go till about 2029 with the last HSC subject. So it's a significant change to our curriculum, a change for the better, but that means that there's a lot of work for our teachers to be doing over the next few years.
Okay, so what have teachers been focusing on in the last few days? What changes to curriculum are coming this year and next?
So this year, really the only syllabuses being implemented this year are new Year 11 Health and Movement Science, which is the new PD Health PE, and some electives in the technology area in the secondary space. In terms of primary, K to 6 English and Maths finished their implementation, so they'll be working on what worked well last year and the year before, how can we make it better for our young people, and then looking forward to the creative arts, the geography, history, PD Health PE, science and technology, which will be implemented in 2027. In secondary, there's a range of different timelines and what that happens. But again, 7 to 10 English and Maths were implemented last year, so it'll be a lot of work embedding and looking at what worked and what didn't in those areas as well.
So I understand these changes need to be fully implemented in 2027, is that right?
It actually depends.
Okay.
In the primary, that's true. Everything will be implemented completely by 2027. In the secondary, it's a bit slower in terms of the different subject areas, with the last syllabus to be examined in 2029.
Okay. And does it depend, Regina, what school you go to in terms of the rollout?
No, the implementation is the same across the state. So the New South Wales Education Standards Authority put out the timeline, and that's what every school in New South Wales will cover. You can do early implementation, obviously not for HSC subjects because you have the HSC exam, but some of the others you might sort of start doing a little bit of implementation a bit earlier, but you have to have done it by the date that NESA sets.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. So for parents and carers listening today who are wondering what this means for them, maybe the homework their children are going to be bringing home, what do they need to keep in mind?
So really, in terms of that, the big changes to the syllabus is they've been streamlined to really make sure that the content that is being taught is really necessary for learning. It's much more explicit around what students need to know and what they need to be able to do. And one of the other big changes from years 3 to 10 is that there's a writing outcome in every single subject area. So that's much more explicit than it has been previously. So I would say in terms of homework, what might you see? I'd be saying in the younger years, in the primary years, there'll be reading, there'll be some maths. So it's that at home, it's about practicing those skills, and that knowledge that they're learning. And as they progress through the later years, that real focus on writing and improving their written communication.
Okay. Can you, I know it's hard to kind of narrow down, Regina, but what are some of the significant changes in terms of the syllabuses and the restructure?
As I was saying before, I think what is really different for teachers is that it is really explicit around what needs to be taught. In previous syllabuses, previous curriculum documents, there was you could have more choice in what you taught, which was great for an experienced teacher, but many of our young teachers didn't really have the skills themselves to go, well, what is important in this area? Whereas now, this is your content, this is what needs to be taught. It's really clear for teachers, so that's probably the biggest change that teachers will notice. Streamlined, so less content, so you can actually focus on the areas that really matter for learning.
Regina, the teachers that you speak to and deal with, how are they going with it all, with the implementing these changes?
They're going really well. It is, as you said before, it is big changes. So we have provided more time for teachers to meet. We are working across our diocese, which is 24 schools, and encompasses out to Walgett, up to Tenterfield, around to Tamworth and Gunnedah. We have working parties who work together to around the programming so that we can reduce some of that workload consideration for teachers. We started extra professional development days last week, specifically about curriculum, to give them that opportunity to work together in strong teams so that they can develop it together rather than alone.
How interesting, Regina. Thank you for giving us a call this morning. There's been lots of conversation, around the last couple of weeks about the length of these school holidays, how they're, a bit extended this year, and the work that teachers are doing behind the scenes to, get around the curriculum changes. It's so interesting to get your insights this morning, Regina. Thanks for giving us some time today.
You're welcome, Christy. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
And I wish all the teachers and young people out there the best for 2025.
Oh, good on you, Regina. Thanks again. That is Regina Menz there, who's the Director of Schools for the Armidale Catholic Schools, joining us to give some insights on these curriculum, the syllabus changes.